everybody, and welcome to the Daily Show right here on Bowlers Network, where we are growing bowling together. Before I even bring in my counterparts, I am in New Orleans today, Conference USA. We're trying to win a conference. Vandy, as you can see by my attire, I'm all team Melissa Ballard, but we're trying to win the conference here to get motivated to move into regionals and hopefully nationals. So that's where I am this week. But I also want to take a minute to thank all of you who are watching, for all of you who have shared our podcasts, our posts. Please keep doing that. We appreciate hearing from you. You have no idea. We read everything you submit, but without you, there is no us here at The Daily Show. So we want to thank you totally from the bottom of our hearts. We have grown rapidly and we are looking to grow even more. So keep it going. You are truly helping us grow the bowling community. All right, come on in there, Zach and Jay. Where are you?
Hey.
Here we are. Hi, guys.
Hi, guys.
Hello.
Hi, guys.
CBD.
How are you?
Doing good. Yeah, we can take New
CBD?
Orleans off your
CBD?
bingo card.
Oops.
Right. And it's
CDB.
CDB.
I'm sorry.
It
I
sounded
did
like my
say
friend
that.
Rob Verano, who calls me the same thing. It's all right. No big
I
deal. It's
actually
really
did.
okay.
Oops.
It's okay.
Oops.
It's really okay. You said it really quickly, so it kind of meshes all together. Hey, guys, there is a lot going on in bowling. A lot going on in bowling. I personally feel most of it is so positive because when bowling is out there, it can only help us bring awareness to how fun our sport is. But let's talk about the thing that's got a little bit of a sad twist to it. I want to talk a little bit about Columbia 300. 65 years, Columbia 300 has been in this industry. Family owned, started family owned, the Herman family based in San Antonio, Texas. Then, of course, Ebonite bought it and then moved on to Brunswick, as we all know. But before I turn it over to you guys, I just want to just bring something up. Because I still feel bowling is a little bit of a male dominated sport. Sorry, I know. I just feel it's still male dominated. There was a wonderful woman who was an ambassador and an absolute mentor for women, Connie Smoot, who I believe was the first vice president of Columbia, and she was a woman. And she truly made her mark in so many areas. I remember receiving a bowling ball in the mail when I first went on tour, and she asked, please throw this ball, give us some feedback. We're trying to see what the women think. I just want to give her a special shout out because, again, not many women in high positions in bowling back in 1990 and 1991. And she truly took a lot of women under her wing. I was one of them, and I learned a lot from her. So when I heard that Columbia was phasing out, let's not say going away, phasing out, there are a lot of great things that Columbia did to promote bowling. What were your thoughts, Jay, when you first heard the news?
Well, Columbia has a special place in my heart for a lot of reasons. You know, Zach is, a little younger than, just a little younger than us. So it may not tug at the heartstrings as much. And so for me, I actually still have the ball. It's in my garage. I have the Columbia Power Torque urethane, from back in maybe it was 89. And that ball was, at the time I shot a 765 series in it with the Paragon and Dickinson. And that was, so I have a special place for Columbia. And it's sad to see anything go, in our sport, but specifically, something that means a lot to you. Understood, it's a business decision, but I guess it is what it is.
Well, again, and it's a lot of brands to take care of. We've heard over the last few years that the industry might be shrinking just a little bit with some of the centers closing, and you hear things here and there, but they were, and I just want to say this, they were the pioneer in polyester resin and urethane in the 70s and 80s. I mean, when you said white dot, everyone knew it was a Columbia white dot. Like, there was nothing else you had to say. You just had to say white dot.
Hmm.
And I think that speaks volumes of any company. Like now you say lightning bolt, it's storm. So to market yourself and brand yourself where just a name of a ball resonates with the actual company name, hats off to Columbia for 65 years of truly growing the sport and honestly giving a lot of us our first bowling balls. Now, Zach, I'm not sure. I'm sure you did not have a plastic ball as your first ball, but what was your take on the news?
Yeah, from a logistics side, it's understandable when Brunswick first bought the Ebonite brands when they were going bankrupt. It was expected that they were going to drop some brands, but Corey Dykstra came out and said, "Nope, we're keeping all 7 of them. There's nothing happening." But in the last couple of years, Brunswick has started not certifying some of their brands on the PBA, either on jerseys or for Columbia, the ball company entirely. And talking to a few of those guys in their camp, they've been trying really hard to keep Columbia going. They tried to make it the throwback brand. That's why we've seen, like Jay mentioned, the Power Torque. We saw the Power Torques. We saw a new Piranha just come out. The Pulses. Every ball Columbia was making was a throwback. But unfortunately, that just wasn't getting the sales that a lot of the other companies were. So that was a little bit unfortunate to see. So that's why the decision ended up happening. It's understandable having 7 brands under the Brunswick umbrella is a lot. And this doesn't really mean like a division of Brunswick is going away. I think they mentioned all of the people who were doing Columbia specific things are going elsewhere. Like I know their core designer, he was already doing 3 of the 7 brands. So now he's just down to 2 of the 7 brands. So luckily it doesn't mean that bowling people are getting laid off. That's the really important thing. But it does mean, yeah, we're just not going to see Columbia. Now, could they bring it back with the snap of a finger? 100%. Absolutely. Columbia balls were being made alongside all of the other brands, but it is still really unfortunate that it did end up coming to this, but not surprising. Just sad to see that it was the historical company that ended up getting the plug pulled first.
I tend to agree with that. I think that's a great analogy. It's about the history of it, and I hate to say, we grow from history. We at times we want it to repeat itself. Sometimes we don't want it to repeat itself.
Hmm.
This just was such a positive impact for so many people in bowling. And I reached out to a few people, and I'm just gonna, no names necessary. I do know 2 of these bowlers started with Columbia, and it said has been a part of so many bowlers' experiences while also playing a meaningful role in advancing bowling ball technology. That combination made quite an impact on the game of bowling, and that's what I believe makes it so hard to see it go away. And I thought that was great. This is from a longtime staffer, PBA champion from the late 80s and 90s, said, I found it sad news. The only ball staff I was ever on and the only balls I ever won with on tour. It was a special brand, especially since it was in San Antonio near me. And I got chills reading that because, that's what I think this impact is. People who started with the brand and then you see it phase out, it's like, oh my God, is it an end of an era for me as well? And it's just bowling is so family oriented, it's so community oriented that we all just take everything to heart because we know someone that was a part of every company or every change in bowling. So, we wish obviously Brunswick's going to be fantastic. Look forward to see what they have in store. But end of an era. I think I'm going to grab me a white dot off the wall from the pro shop, set it aside so that I can always remember that they truly made an impact on the sport. So
Hey, let
thank
me
you
make a
to
comment real
everybody
quick.
from the Columbia family.
I did.
Absolutely. Go right
I
ahead.
just did what you did. So I ordered the new orange Piranha, and I have a
Okay.
Pulse, and I ordered another Pulse, and I'm just going to keep them, undrilled.
Right.
But real
Hmm.
quick, Zach, this is again for the younger guy here. Are you familiar with if we said the term Shore D? Remember that? Does that
For
ring a bell?
neurometers? Yeah.
Sure
Okay.
D. It's a bowling ball.
Yeah.
Oh, never
So
mind. Nope.
back in the day,
Not.
back back in the day, there was no hardness rule. So I think, Carolyn, you'd know better, right? The very
Hmm.
first time It was the ABC, I think, that was at the time that did this, introduced a hardness rule the first time. Because what guys used to do, and I'm sure Dell did it a lot of this, they would soak the polyester ball, from a lot of it from Columbia, right? And they'd soak it in acetone, and it would make it a lot softer, right? And hence more, because people, you look at the hook, that back, like, how can you get a plastic ball to hook like that? And that's how they kind of manipulated the ball, to change the surface.
Right.
Carolyn, am I correct on that?
So, well, first of all, the Sure D was not plastic. It was a
Okay.
new technology. They were a
Okay.
little bit before their time, as a matter of fact. And I think and we're going to check this, we're going to have Zach check this. I think Carmen Salvino had something to do with it,
Could be. But
if
they
I'm not
did soak it in
mistaken.
acetone, right? Plastic balls?
No, they soaked plastic balls. Not the Sure D was not plastic.
Okay.
It was a combination, but plastic bowls people did try to
Yeah.
soak
Okay,
because
there
they
you
wanted
go.
them to hook more, but not every. And on the PBA tour, they did not do that. Well, they weren't supposed to, so no,
Okay.
they didn't. But little fun fact: Dell won the $100,000 his first U.S. Open with the wine you got, which
Okay.
was kind of funny.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
Well, wasn't the
And
first ever
that time,
900?
I didn't take one.
Wasn't the first ever 900? I think his name was Glenn.
I believe it was a Columbia
Yeah,
ball. I
Glenn
think
Allen
so.
or
I
something
think
like
so. Glenn
that.
Allison.
But it
Allison.
wasn't
Yeah.
certified or
Glenn
sanctioned.
Allison.
Allison.
Glenn Allison.
Yeah, it
There
was
you go.
Glenn Allison.
unsanctioned.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we'll look at that. No, it was
Okay.
not sanctioned, but it should have been.
All right.
But
I'll shut up. Go ahead.
again, we thank Columbia. Okay, so now let's get on to some great news, because I think anytime bowling is in the news, it brings awareness. Okay, sometimes it's not so great, but majority of the time it is, because we can make a positive about it. We are talking about Born to Bowl on HBO Max. The first episode was this week. And of course, because I want to troll on the lovely internet to just see what everybody thinks, because everyone is a power warrior behind the keyboard. There's not enough technical, there wasn't enough bowling, there wasn't enough this, there wasn't enough that, and of course, a lot of positives too. But my take is this: we are watching bowling.
Mhm.
Every episode doesn't have to be about actually throwing the ball and learning about the sport. It's about learning about the people who play the sport, who then in turn will teach you about the sport. I personally think we need to give it a chance. I I have yet to watch it, but I am going to watch it. I think we need to give it a chance. I think it's great for bowling. It's got Belmo, EJ Tackett, Cameron Crowe, Kyle Troup, and Anthony Simonson in it. I mean, come on, guys. Really? Great cast, great stories there. And I think we need to give it a chance, because anything bowling, we should be able to make that into a positive. Zach, I know you watched it. What were your thoughts?
Yeah, I personally loved it. I thought it was a really good introduction episode. So they're hitting a really hard thing here. I'm actually messaging with one of the guys who helped create it behind the scenes a little bit. And it's been really interesting because he is a non-bowler, and he said one of the bigger things is them trying to be able to connect to both bowlers and to non-bowlers. And they, I think, did a really good job in my eyes, where they gave a fun twist of like giving the introduction of bowling, how old it is, what the PBA has done, the rise of bowling, all of that fun stuff, while mainly focusing on the players. I did see an important thing that they are trying to focus on those 5 individuals, not as much as just in a section of this is what bowling is, because would non-bowlers want to watch a documentary where people just explain what bowling is? No, not even close. That's why it's great that we have A24 and we have Ben Stiller doing this, because they're trying to target the non-bowlers while still giving the nods and letting the players do the talking for the actual bowler. So it's hitting a really good middle ground, especially for an introduction episode. And I was promised going deeper into the series, we're going to see a lot more bowling and a lot more intensity, a lot more in-depth looks. So I think this was fantastic. Reviews on Rotten Tomatoes have been good. Reviews other places have been really good. Of course, there's a couple bowlers. I saw one prominent creator who gave a little bit of a stink, but there's very little reason to give a stink about this so far. It's been great for one episode, and we have 4 more to go, which should be fun.
And what I like about it, and you just touched on it, and Jay, I'd like your opinion on this. The PBA does have a lot of backstories. I think people need to know how long PBA's been in existence. They had a few owners where we thought things would change one time, things wouldn't change the other. So, Jay, what is your take on some of the backstories with actually the PBA?
Well, from what I heard in an interview with Ben Stiller, who's producing the show, he made the comment that the angle he wanted to bring to light are the sacrifices, just the sheer magnitude of the commitment that these players have to go through. That this is a real sport. It's a real commitment, and it's time away from family. So I like that angle. And the way, again, I haven't seen it either, Carolyn. So I got to be a little careful of saying this. I've seen snippets of it. The only potential downside, and without seeing it, I gotta make sure that I keep this in that context, is the
I think I'm
downside could
freezing up.
be that people may look negatively from how much commitment would be required as a pro, and sacrifice, but I don't think they would have gone that far. So without seeing it, I really want to be careful not to give my opinion one way or the other. But like you said, anything that sheds light on our sport is always good. Conversation, debate
I
is always good.
I agree, and again, I think we need to give it a little bit. It's the first episode. Come on, how many times you watch a Netflix movie, and you're like, my God, the first two episodes are so slow. I mean, Game of Thrones was killing me, and now I can't get enough of it, along with the dragons. So I'm just kind of putting that out there. I agree. I think we'll recap this as each episode comes out. I think we should look at some of the. I think we should focus on the positives, of course. I'm sure there's going to be others, but that's okay. This is something great. I think we should keep talking about it. Hats off to Ben Stiller for taking the time and the passion from bowling to the screen. And I think it's going
Mhm.
to wind up being great. So that leads me to the next thing. We're talking about entertainment, people going to the movies, people watching things on HBO Max, right? Maybe we'll get a sponsorship. You never know, Jay.
Yeah.
Let's talk about, are we entertainment, and are we transitioning away from some traditional things we know about bowling on the PBA and PWBA? PWBA has not started yet this year, but from the PBA, and we'll watch with the women, lots of high scores, mega scores throughout the week, a lot of 300s, big scores on TV, groundbreaking 300 in the title match the first week. Are we entertainment and starting to go that way to trend to a different crowd? Zach, you're on there. You're on the old social media all the time. Tell us what you're thinking.
Yeah, no, it seems like a lot of bowlers really like to see the high scores. While there is the hardcore community that really wants to see 180 to 170, there's a large majority of people who'd rather see the crazy high scores. It's a win-win-win for a lot of people, because if you have a non-bowler who ends up watching it, clicks onto the CW, watches a little bit, if they see a 180, they're going to think, hey, my high score is 180. And they kind of brush off bowling a little bit. That's a problem bowling's had for years and years. But if you're seeing these 250s, 60s, 70s, it's very impressive for a non-bowler. Casual bowlers who bowl league know how hard 250, 60, or 70 can be. And then if they know a little bit about oil pattern, it's absolutely surreal, because the thing we have to remember is the patterns they're bowling on are not easy. These are just players where the skills are so incredibly high. The skill set is nuts. So that's why you're seeing these scores so high. I mean, the patterns are 2-to-1. For anyone out there who's bowled on a 2-to-1 ratio, it's not easy. They are very, very flat, very hard. So I think bowling is still trying to hit that middle ground, as is every sport of competition, but also entertainment, because all sports that you watch are truly entertainment. While they have the best in the world competing and there's no strings being pulled behind the scenes, the goal is still to get eyes to watch because that's what brings in advertisers, that's what brings in money, so you can continue with the league. So it's not entertainment as in fake, but all sports are entertainment. So that's something to always keep in mind.
And I agree with that. And there were, and to each his own. By the way, when you make the TV show, um, there were many women that didn't want to wear a microphone, right? I mean, I did, and I'm fine with it. But I told them they would probably have to bleep out a couple of times, which they did, and I own that. But I always felt that we owed the public to know about us, what was happening, what was going through our head, what's going on the lanes at the moment, what happened during the week. We owed it to them because without them, we're not there because they're watching us. So I always felt we were a little bit of entertainment, not that you had to be fake. And if you wore a mic and didn't say a word, that's fine, but at least you participated, right? So I felt that was important. Jay, my question to you is this. I'd like to know your take on this. One thing I noticed that I absolutely was thrilled with, we did 2 matchmakers the last 2 days. I cannot tell you how many new bowlers who have never been to a matchmaker attended, number one, and bought a bowling ball, and not the low end, the next step up because they wanted to learn how to hook it like what they watch on TV. So they're new to bowling. They are watching bowling. They are attending a matchmaker to educate themselves and actually taking the initiative to purchase a ball and learn how to use it. I find that encouraging. What do you think about that?
Well, I'm going to try and condense all the things that I have to say because this is extremely, extremely exciting. Okay. So, they're the saying, right? They sell you the whole seat, but you only need the edge, right? You ever heard that, right? Keep you on the edge of your
Yeah.
seat. High scores do that. So it shouldn't be much of a surprise given the new CEO that we have, right? We want to keep things entertaining. And by keeping you on the edge of your seat is exactly do because one little miss, one little 10 pin, one little stone 9 can change the outcome of a match, right? So that's what high scores do. It keeps it entertaining. And in the entertainment world, right, there's 3 letters, EIE, entertainment. There's got to be intimacy and there's also got to be excitement. So this whole thing that we're finding with the new HBO show is it's giving you an intimate connection with these players, right? You're connecting not, I mean, it's off the lanes. So you are forming an emotional bond with that. And then when you throw in the excitement of these high scores, that is the perfect world. So kudos to the PBA for what they're doing. I don't think they could be doing anything better. It is absolutely spot on, in my opinion. So to then lead to your point, Carolyn, is it much of a surprise that we're finding people to come in to these matchmakers and say, I want to do what they're doing or I want to learn? That is exactly what they wanted to do. So I think everything they're doing is just spot on perfect. So kudos to you, Mr. Tom Clark and the whole PBA crew. I think you guys are doing a perfect job. There you go.
I think it's a change. I think it's something good. Look, we have to evolve. Every other sport changes it up, right? We have to evolve. Whether it's changing the commentators, changing the playing field, changing up the patterns. We need to evolve as all sports do. And again, I think anytime we are in the whether it be on social media now, obviously on a in a movie setting, that has to be a good thing. It has to be a good thing. I'm not saying everything's going to be perfect, but it's something we haven't had. So now it's almost as if we are moving forward. And look, I'm just tired of the negative. So I'm really trying to focus on the positive. And truly, in my heart, I think this can definitely do something for bowling. And I love the fact, and Zach, I'd like your take on this too, because you're of the younger generation. I like that I'm getting to learn about the bowlers besides throwing a bowling ball. I like that. And I'm from the old school, and I truly like maybe finding out who do I resonate with to make me want to watch it every week and root for them. What do you think the younger generation thinks?
Oh, 100%. One of the biggest things in sports right now is every sport has people you can follow pretty easily. And bowling hasn't had that for a while. There usually are one or two guys who you can follow a little bit that you see a lot on TV. That's why the Belmos, the EJs, the Simonsons all get popular. They don't have any other way to follow them, but because they're there all the time and on the telecast, they do a good job at showing a little bit of the guy's history. So that's how people can learn more, and that's why they become fan favorites. But that also causes some of the lesser known players, you know, the Matt Ogles of the world, who's a top 10 bowler, but he's not on TV that much, so nobody cares what he does on TV, which is unfortunate. So giving us a way to see into these guys' lives is incredible. Looking at Brad Miller, for example, he has to bowl PTQs every single week. He's not even on the tour technically, but because of their YouTube channel, he is one of the most popular bowlers on the planet, solely because people can get an in-depth look a couple times a week at his life, at what he goes through on the PBA tour. So having that makes people want to pay attention. So the HBO series focusing hard on those 5 players and some of the just extra stuff that happens with them is incredible, because bowling has the issue where those guys aren't on TV every week. We don't see we haven't seen Belmo at all this year, which is crazy. So because we only show 5 guys. So with bowling having that problem, they need to take it an extra step to make sure we know a lot about a lot more players.
Did we lose Carolyn?
Yeah.
Is
Nope,
she
I'm
froze
here.
up?
I'm
Oh,
here.
okay. I thought you froze up there.
I was just going to tell him thank you. So sorry. I might be frozen, but you can hear me. It's
You're
okay.
good.
Hey, I love that take, Zach, and I agree with you. And one of the positives I think it's going to take is you touched on 2 things. You have Anthony Simonson, who is not a big social media person, but we are getting to know him. We are getting to know what makes Anthony tick. Yet you have somebody like a Belmo who's a little more on social media. We already kind of know him. So again, you get the mixture of both guys. Man, we could talk about this all day long, and we are going to cover this Born to Bowl as each segment comes out, but this has been fantastic. We've had a little bit of the past. We have a little bit of the now, a little bit of the future that we're yet to see. We have yet to see on the HBO Max. Again, thank you for joining us here on the Daily Show at Bowlers Network. Thank you, fans. Thank you, friends and family and fans, for making this, well, click. You really are. Because of you, we are here. As always, Farmers Union Insurance. Love that you became one of our supporters from the very beginning. And we look forward to seeing everybody on Friday at 12 Central Time.